of owning a cafe and other heroic deeds by Beware the Tristero. Chapter 81, The Hero Public Safety Commission. As 10 o'clock approached, he and his siblings had eaten, and to mark the occasion properly, he'd donned his petrol blue ceremonial gi, tied his black belt, and texted Moto-sensei. Aizawa Shouta.
Takeo is challenging me today.
He told him.
We'll be sure to do you proud, Sensei.
Moto-sensei. Shouta, I gotta get both of you back to Tokyo to kick the asses of these snowflake kids who keep racking up and wanting all the progress, with none of the effort. The older man typed back. You still okay to judge a few ranked tournaments in August? Lord knows Master Ojiro would be grateful. Oh, and have someone record you two going at it, would you? I've not seen a decent match since you and Matsuo crossed paths last year. Chuckling, he'd confirmed his availability for judging and refereeing, and promised to have his teens film them during their sparring. There was nothing quite like the excitement of fighting someone just for the thrill of it. It'd also be better a workout than what he usually got since moving back home, wouldn't it? Therefore, his hair tugged into a ponytail at the nape of his neck, he jogged down the front stairs, walked through his kitchen, and entered the eatery proper, his eyes casting across the booths. Everyone was already outside, and oh, the kids had taken chairs out to sit to watch a match, had they? Chairs that hosted them, Naomasa, Sanza, and Kenshi-san, too. Snickering to himself, he made his way outside, the tots gasping and pointing at him. Shoni! You look like a hero of a martial arts manga or something! There's a freaking melee! Ichiro squealed while Mitsuki snapped it with her camera, and he approached the astroturf they'd laid out at the front of the cafe. Luckily, and for the first time in a while, the skies were overcast, so he didn't have to worry about any of them getting sunburned if Takeo wanted to draw this out. Aizawa, did you have to knock some cobwebs off of that gi, eh? The golden-eyed teen preened from where he was jogging on the spot, his bare feet bouncing as a light breeze tousled his short chestnut hair, his grin shit-eating as he showed off the clothing he'd been given by their master to celebrate passing his Shodan exam back in April. He looked good in the more teal shade of cloth that Moto-sensei had adopted for the dojo in recent years. It'd probably be worth him investing in a new set for when he visited the wonderful old teacher who'd nurtured his ambitions and helped him to support his little brothers when he was in middle school.
You look great, kid,
he told him without preamble, his tone sincere.
Sensei has asked to watch us go at it,
he furthered, whilst appraising the people standing or sitting around the rectangle they'd be sparring in.
So can I ask that anyone who's going to film this send me a few videos, please?
Watching as they nodded, he stepped onto the mat and chuckled when Seiji and Tadeo held up the first aid kits warningly. The pair were always looking out for them, weren't they?
Okay, what are your terms?
He asked, his body falling into his preferred kata for stretching, the younger man mirroring him flawlessly. The best out of 5 matches, no caught shots, and no hits to the face because you're going out tonight, just as promised. The 19-year-old smirked, his head rolling around his shoulders. That all right with you?
Sounds fair,
he agreed before they approached each other, bowed in turn, and pulled up into their preferred stances, bodies loose as Naoki sidled them, a hush falling across their audience as he raised his right hand. Hajime! And struck it down. He'd always enjoyed getting to fight and really throw his muscle into the movesets he'd built up from his youth, and Takeo was certainly an opponent he could parry without holding back. What? Well, not holding back too much, anyway. Smiling, he grabbed the slightly shorter team when the brunette managed to snag his arm and twist it into a submission move, his feet firmly planted, the strike of his elbow true, and in the boy's moment of breathlessness, he captured his middle and swung him up, around and over his shoulders in a flashy move that had the others gasping and Takeo grunting when his back hit the ground. Snaking around in the 19-year-old was soon huffing into the turf and restrained. Round 1 to Aizawa, the pro-hero in training declared as he nodded, let go of, and helped Takeo up, those golden eyes simmering with challenge, whilst he dusted himself off and they fell back into their stances, their hands raised, fingers curled as they circled each other.
You remember when you challenged that kid 3 times your size during Dan tournament in Fukushima 2 years back?
He asked, his smile broadening when the others snickered, their feet moving in near-perfect symmetry. Yeah, I'll do, he replied whilst feigning a jab. He went down pretty hard, didn't he?
That he did. You noticed that he was imbalanced and took advantage of that, right?
Of course I... Snickering to himself, he brushed the other, not to show him up in front of the people he cared about, of course, just to teach him a lesson. Confidence was wonderful, it was great, and he relished how much he saw in the youngest twin, but it could be fatal during active combat. And Takeo just about managing to meet his strikes, kicks, and jabs, he bided his time until... Whoa! He took the other's legs right out from under him, and then seizing the opportunity, he rolled with him and trapped the other's right arm and upper half in a grapple.
Feel free to tap out any time,
he said conversationally, whilst the other continued to wriggle and curse. You'd like that, wouldn't you? The teen hissed, his limbs flailing, but like a barnacle on a boat, he would not be budged. Psychist!
I'd prefer not to break your arm,
he replied merrily, the onlookers spellbound by the display.
Come on, let's restart the match,
he continued as casually as someone who wasn't subduing a person desperately trying to shock him. Oh, fine, curse you and your little headedness! The other spat his free hand, tapping at the astroturf. At the sound, he easily released his brother, and then they helped each other up, both of them grinning. You just love teaching me lessons, don't you?
I love that you see what I'm doing and you value it,
he retorted mildly, the younger huffing and rolling his shoulders. It'd be stupid not to, Aizawa. I can't be the best without you pushing me there, right? He juggled, their audience stage whispering to each other, and no doubt upping bets. But I'm not going to let you beat me again, he warned, his body slipping into more of a crouched stance. Ah, good! Husband! They blurred together in a sequence of movements. Ooh! Takeo's hands were grabbing at his gi, their feet dancing around each other's, their eyes narrowed in concentration as each hold was broken, blocked, or failed to stick. Their audience were well out of their seats, avidly watching whilst they took their spar to the ground, both looking for leverage, their forms writhing, each attempting to either capture an arm or effectively pin their opponent's chest to the ground. Gotcha! Wow! Oh! In a risky move that he wouldn't have used ordinarily, Shouta dislocated his shoulder just enough to make Tadeo think he'd gotten him trapped.
What was that?
Before he used his legs to spring up and buck the broad-shouldered teen off of him. Ah, you're like an eel! How can you be this match ready when you just make cakes all day? So that he could scramble over him, a few well-placed jabs to the younger man's middle, curling him to the point, rolling him over, flat out across the floor, and securing his arms with child's play.
Kneading bread dough, wrapping up the sandwiches, and vigorously whisking things is a pretty good workout, huh?
He grinned.
Do you yield?
Fine, but I'll get you one of these days!
Yes, you will,
he assured him, their eyes meeting.
And it won't be long thanks to how hard you're working. I'm very proud of you, you know. You'll make Judan before me, I'm sure.
Damn it, you big sap! Releasing the hold onto Kao's wrists, the cafe owner rolled to his feet and helped the sun-kissed male up, both of them bowing, then hugging whilst their audience cheered, applauded, and whooped. Katsuki and Eijiro beelining towards his second oldest care-center sibling to praise him and excitedly ask for tips. How'd you punch like that? It was so fast! Mama! Turkey! Combo! Show me, please! Chuckling as the other kids soon crowded them both, he asked Takeo to lead the class, whilst he went back inside the stray cat to grab their drinks, Dabi and Seiji on his heels. He could hardly wait to get his study group up to that same fantastic standard. That way, as they went out into the world to become heroes, or anything else, he'd help to protect them by ensuring they could protect themselves, wouldn't he? Handing out the glasses of lemonade, Inko and Mitsuki, having retreated to the shade of the freshly opened parasols with a grinning Genji-san, Shouta was preparing to offer guidance to his kids and teens and his police force students when something caught his eye. What in the world were two black, incredibly obvious SUVs doing crawling down the road as though they were about to park? Humming, he shoved his empty tray under his arm and tried to stop the glare he felt building when the jeeps did pull up to the curb, right behind the lieutenant's police car.
It's those license plates. They're with the Euro Public Safety Commission.
Blinking. For some reason, he wasn't surprised to find the dog-quirked man suddenly at his elbow, the ongoing lesson to his right still progressing when he shared a quick glance and a nod at his teens. Naoki, however, had stepped out of line to approach them, his arms folded and dark eyes narrowed. What in the world is the HPSC doing here? He asked the older man, his brows lifting when a person, somehow familiar, got out of the first car with a teenager who looked to be the same age as his oldest wards. The boy's smile was pleasant as he appraised the cafe, and there was a pair of crimson feathered wings fluffed from his back. When another person dressed in a black and silver bodysuit, his face and overall features completely covered, bolted over to him, skidded to a stop, and bowed deeply before standing and flashing a jaunty peace sign at him, he really didn't know what to think. Kata-sama! It's wonderful to meet you properly! Thank you for helping to rescue me! I really appreciate it! No, I don't! Blinking, he heard Genji suck in an intake of breath whilst Naoki cocked his head to one side.
You're welcome.
He tried, his eyes daring to move away from the concealed man, who was now bobbing, ducking, and diving his head around to look at his cafe, and the children still practicing their movesets.
Forgive me, but who are you?
Ah, of course you wouldn't know because you're an unofficial pro and all. That's bullshit, right? The tall, muscular man laughed. My name is Twice, and I was Shigaraki's slave until you punted him in the balls. That was hilarious. No, it wasn't. He all but cheered. Oh yes, he'd not been told all of the details. However, Tomura knew of him, didn't he?
Well, it's good to see you twice, Sam,
he replied, his eyes slipping back to his second oldest ward, thankfully out of earshot, and back to him and the other two now stood behind.
Aizawa-san, please forgive Twice's enthusiasm. He has wanted to speak with you for a while now.
The regal-looking elder murmured with a light bow, those old maroon eyes, so familiar, locking with his before he similarly bowed at a very quiet, almost rigid Sugarame and bewildered Kamui Woods. Lieutenant, would you mind if I spoke to Aizawa-san privately?
As a matter of fact, I genuinely would mind.
The police force officer grunted, his words causing him to frown lightly. He knew a protective tone when he heard it and felt his hackles rise.
Oh, very well then.
The oldest of their group hummed demurely, his smile full of needle-like teeth, which weren't disconcerting at all, before their eyes were locked once more.
You've grown up since the last time I saw you, Aizawa-san, and you've had quite a time of it from what I understand.
Huffing, the realization of where he'd last seen this man coming to the fore, Shouta deepened his frown.
Matsuri-san.
He breathed all of them, including the winged boy, who seemed to be fidgeting just as much as Twice was, blinking at his utterance.
Ah, you were always such a sharp boy. I'm glad to see that hasn't changed.
The tall, athletically built elder returned in kind, those wrinkled eyes crinkling as he smiled again.
And now here you are, looking after others again instead of fulfilling your true potential. How very noble of you.
He mocked with a titter.
Oi!
His care center sibling hissed.
Don't you... Trainee hero Kamui Woods, you hold a provisional license at this time.
Matsuri purred out.
I would hate to have to revoke it when you're so close to securing the real thing.
He mused, his words causing the youth to fume.
Why not run along to your brother's before you say or do something that'd stop your career before it starts?
You!
Naoki, it's fine.
He cut in gently.
Could you do me a favor and take everyone inside for a break? The cupcakes are in the chiller.
Cupcakes! Oh, I love those! Ew, they're gross! Feeling a chuckle past his lips. He had nothing against Twice, after all, or the other boy, whose ambered eyes had widened at the word. Shouta placed a calming hand on the other's shoulder.
I'll bring some out for them too, alright?
Grunting and muttering behind his mask, the bark quirk user nodded at him before flicking his index and middle finger from his eyes into the old bastard in a clear, I'm watching you gesture, a gray brow quirking at him in reply, before he walked off to the practicing group. At his approach, Naomasa and Sanza broke ranks and made their way over, whilst the tots and teens followed the pro in training to the Nora Neko's entrance, Mitsuki and Inko, both looking concerned and offering a wave, following.
So, what do you want, Matsuri-san?
He sighed when his family were safely tucked away.
Because the last time I checked, our business was concluded when I opted out of joining your secret hero project, even though you clearly targeted me when I was grieving and vulnerable.
He grumbled, his eyes regarding Twice and the teen. When the winged man paled a bit, he felt his hackles flare once more. He was suddenly and brutally reminded about what had made him warier of heroes as a child. His parents freshly dead, his 8-year-old form preparing for foster replacements when this official appeared. His hair had been orange then, and his wrinkles less severe, but he'd never forget how he'd tried to coax him into joining. For your own good, Shouta, why waste away in a system you get lost in, when you can become a great tool for society to use? Shit! You were offered an amazing opportunity, which you turned down, it's true. The caramel suit-wearing fucker acknowledged, his tone still that same simpering lilt. I am merely here to ensure that those 3 young men you've adopted in some form or another don't repeat your mistake. Oh, you fucking dare! It was at times like these that Shouta was incredibly grateful for his training because right fucking now, the desire to punch those needle teeth straight out of that dickhead's face was very strong. But that's something he'd want. If I get caught up in assault charges, Hitoshi will become a ward of the state. Tomer and Dabi wouldn't be able to take my name next week or get the protection that would offer either. You smarmy piece of shit, you're fucking lucky that I love them more than I despise you. He thought.
That's very considerate of you,
he replied, his tone ruthlessly neutral.
You're welcome to ask the teenagers who will be legally assigned to me next Wednesday. However, since Shinso Hitoshi's mother isn't here, as his guardian, I'm afraid that I'm not allowing you to speak with him, and I will pursue harassment charges should you try.
He shrugged. And I would file such a report personally, Keiji contributed, his voice closer to a growl.
I didn't see any requests from your office cross my desk today or yesterday, sir! And
Shinso-kun's mother is a whore, Aizawa. Her opinion hardly matters.
Shinso Kimiko is a very dear friend of mine, just as the lieutenant you've been so rude to is.
He interrupted darkly.
Not that you care about such things. You don't see people, you only see quirks you could use.
He furthered, his ire dying as he regarded a bewilderedly blinking Blythe and a quietly watching teen who seemed to have found his parasols very interesting all of a sudden. Next to him, the lieutenant was on his phone, gloved fingers tapping away whilst a nasty little smirk called out his jowls. Good! Your outlook of my work is still sadly skewed, Aizawa. Masuri sighed. I represent an organization that helps people. We nurture talent, provide homes and structure for those who don't have it. We make heroes out of children that are abandoned and left to fend for themselves, he added, those eyes sharp. In a way, what you and I do are eerily similar. You have certainly amassed quite a talent pool here, haven't you?
Yes. The children who study and live here are wonderful, he admitted, and all of them have parents who I'll be giving the heads up to. Not that you bother with them, he countered. You can't mold the kind of heroes you want with parents keeping tabs on you, right? He added. You.
Thumber-chan! Hi! You look great! You're scowling, there's someone like you! Not! Allowing the tension to drain out of his shoulders, now Masa making his presence known on his left and Sansa on his right, Shouta dared to look over his shoulder as Dabi, looking pissed off, Tomura, blinking, and Takeo, more pissed off and begrudgingly holding a plate of rabbit-eared cupcakes, stormed towards them. Was thunder rumbling overhead? Blythe! Is that you? The decay quirk user asked, a smile trying to tilt his lips regardless of his webby posture, his fingers toying with the quirk-restricting gloves he wore, when the other zipped at him and enthusiastically nodded. I'm going to be a pro hero now! Isn't that neat? I hate having my own room and food on demand. I'm gonna get fat! The tall, muscular man stated whilst posing. Well, that was one way to break the tension. What does this crusty old fossil want? Chuckling despite himself, Dabi always knew how to stab at the point. Shouta looked back at the Matsuri, those old liver-spotted hands shoved into his dress pants pockets, those creepy teeth on show once more. Dabi, real alias unknown. It's a pleasure to meet you. He crooned in a way that really made him want to punch him in his smug brick face. Or more so, Dabi, actually. The scarred teen replied with a lazy shrug. And you, whoever you are, need to shove off back to whatever it is you've come from. He further nonchalantly.
You're stopping the small self-defense lesson with your big brother, who's going home later," he added, his arms folding. "That, and you're pissing off the cat dad, which, as I've learned from experience, is real hard to do," he stated, his eyes narrowing. "And we take exception to that."
Finally allowing himself to relax, the key wearer grinned sharply.
Matsuri-san wants to know if you and Toma would like to join his special hero program,
he told him, the flame quirk user sneering along with his partner. Well, that sounds pretty good, Takeo piped up sarcastically. How about I sign up? Matsuri? Oh, wait, that's right. I'm just one of those useless, quirkless orphans. So I guess there's no point bothering with me, is there, you elitist piece of shit? Sighing that smile, never dimming, the decrepit government official bowed his head.
"I see,"
he hummed.
"Well, in that case, I would very much like to sign these two very promising protégés of mine up for your self-defense lessons."
Cut that, he stated, his smile crooking into a smirk.
"Everyone is welcome at the Northern Echo. That's the slogan on your website, is it not?"
The fuck?
"Yes, that's right."
He cut in over his little brothers, Kenji grunting something under his breath whilst Sansa and now Maza crossed their arms.
"And of course, we'd be more than happy to host twice." "Surely you can't be serious!" I'm sorry, I wasn't giving your name,"
he continued, his teens seething.
"Oh, yeah, sorry. Hi!"
The short teen fumbled momentarily, his wings spreading lightly.
"I'm Hawks, and, thank you, sir, for the opportunity,"
he said with a bow that was mimicked by a previously bouncing place.
I'd like to start coming by here too, you know? Kitties are cute, and we can't have pets at the facility,"
he furthered with a grin before, his expression sheepish as his right wing pointed at Takeo.
"No, may I have one of those cupcakes, please?"